Hey everyone, I'm Charting Man Dan with the Chart Guys. I've been trading cannabis stocks for the last 13 years and 8 months. We're going to check in on the charts of the sector. We are certainly in despair mode, some capitulation going on, frustration, and I'm going to have to shift my game plan a little bit because I'm noticing a lot of people jumping into the same mindset as what I've been saying, and I'll tell you what I mean a little bit more in depth. Let's get to the charts. All right, so a brief little summary here, and then we'll get to the actual charts. So as I've been mentioning, I'm all cash in this sector. I don't want to sit through a slow bleed summer. It's been a nice year so far in this sector as far as gains. I know that's not the case for a lot of people who are holding bags potentially from higher levels, but I'm now looking towards the fall as the next catalyst for more official Schedule 3 and the election talking points, ideally from both sides, but so far just from the Democrats, and the Florida vote. So that is the next time I'm interested as far as headlines and catalysts for the sector, but I'm noticing more and more that price is convincing retail on social media that that's the correct mindset to have. And what that means to me is if I were going to be looking for my positions to reload them into September, because there's so many people now with the same game plan and mindset, I'm now having to do it sooner. I'm now looking towards maybe August or even July as to when I'm looking to reload positions. So that's the way that, psychology and things come into a factor with technical analysis and trading, and as well as social media and sentiment. The last thing I want to do is do the same thing as everybody else. I have to be ahead of the herd. And so if the herd is now all starting to shift towards this mindset, I want to step a little bit further ahead of them. So just letting you know my mindset and approach. It's always going to be dictated by price action from here, but just my game plan going forward. So at this point, we don't have any short-term known headlines that are coming. We can always get surprised by something. Best case scenario for the bulls would be, in my opinion, a big known company buys out an MSO. I don't think that's high probability in the short term, but that would be the biggest surprise catalyst for this sector, in my opinion. So again, always ready to just jump back in with market orders as soon as I need to, but being very patient in the meantime. And I cannot stress enough, preparing for all scenarios. There were times 3 weeks ago where I was talking about the key 832 support, and I was getting comments on the videos of people saying there is no chance we're going back towards 832 having just gotten this Schedule 3 headline. And we have to prepare for probabilities. There's always a chance that something can happen. There's always a chance that MSOS could go to $3. Do I think it's most likely? No. Do I think it's a very low probability? Yes. But you have to prepare for that possibility in your game plan, because if you do not, that is what leads to getting blindsided and having, a completely unexpected scenario take place. And if you aren't prepared for the unexpected scenario, you get smashed. Again, it's why I put a seatbelt on. I don't think I'm going to get in an accident. I've never gotten in an accident, but there's a 0.1% chance that I'll get in an accident. And so I have to protect against that. IWM. So broader market, IWM is a top watch for me in June because it is a cup and handle right now. Now that can be negated. The bears can prove to us, no, it's not a cup and handle if we were to drop down and close below weekly EMA 12. But my simple statement is, if weekly EMA 12 is support, which has held the last 2 back tests the last 2 weeks, then this is a cup and handle. Multiple year highs, recovery, fail it, bull flag attempt. So I'm scouting IWM for an entry in the short term. And if this confirms and IWM breaks out and we get some increase in breadth in the broader market, that will definitely benefit this sector and benefit sentiment in this sector while we patiently wait. What this sector is going to do in the absence of headlines would be extremely different if IWM is trading up at 215 or if IWM is trading at 185. In my opinion, that can be the difference between MSOS being 30% higher or 30% lower. So it absolutely is a major sentiment factor for me while we wait for headlines. MSOS, monthly time frame. So it took many months for a monthly uptrend to confirm, and 730 is now the most important level because that's the level to keep the monthly uptrend. If 730 holds, it's a monthly higher low. If we lose that level, we lose the uptrend. Weekly perspective, next time we bounce, anything under 1050 is just a weekly lower high. which means we can bounce 25% and still be in a weekly downtrend. The daily chart is a potential bear flag. This is an extremely weak bounce at this point. This current week that is upcoming is going to tell us whether this is likely a bear flag or not. If these bulls, again, we use our bounce retracement size. If you Google chart guys or go to our website, chart guys Fibonacci, there's a whole in-depth video about this concept. But if this bounce is less than 382 retracement, so if we do not get over 874, which is 9% away, then it's a weekly bear flag or a daily bear flag. If we get over 908 plus, then we look for the equilibrium. So this is why bears are still comfortable, because they know that we have to bounce another 9% to even negate the bear flag. As far as support, 766 and 730. As far as resistance, 812. And then just looking at the high of every day on the way down as a resistance level. But clearly still weak overall. Individual names, as far as relative strength and weakness, not much is changing. And just to show an example of that, TCNNF, definitely relative weakness this week with this red candle. But the only time this relative strength and weakness matters to me is big moves. Because right here, sideways, nothing is changing. This is notable. Sideways, nothing is changing. This is notable. Sideways, nothing is changing. So I'm watching for a significant break from the sideways range, keeping in mind we could trade within the sideways range. You know, in an ideal world, we just chop around here for another 2 months, have relative strength start to return, have Florida pass, and if Florida passes, in my opinion, this chart breaks out up to the upside in a big way. But most of the top 3 tier 1 MSOs, they're not seeing any major differences in relative strength or weakness, nothing notable. I keep an eye on it every week, but nothing notable. So TCNNF, monthly has a ton of space to work with. Anything above 379 is a monthly high or low. In an ideal world, look at this EMA 12 here, where we reject, 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 reject. Now we finally got over it. This is very important to hold. After rejecting from a resistance level time and time again, whether it's a price level, like BABA, quick little lesson here, unrelated except for the technicals here. Look at this daily chart. 77 to 78. Look at all these rejections. We get above it, we hold, break out and follow through. And now we're testing again. So this is a previous very clear resistance that successfully held as support twice for a 20% move up and is now trying to hold again. Same thing with EMAs or moving averages. So we need to see TCNNF hold monthly EMA 12 after all those rejections. On the weekly perspective, we know the next time we bounce, anything under 1350 will be a weekly lower high. Daily is a potential bear flag. Again, use a retracement. I'm not going to do it on every individual name. You see me do something with a chart here on one name, you're watching a different name, apply the same thing that I do. Pretend you're me. What would I say if I'm looking at that chart? We got to get over 382 retracement. We got to get over 1095. We need another 10% plus to even negate a daily bear flag. GTBIF, monthly support already broke. 1088 support has been lost. Technically, we have lost the monthly uptrend. Again, in an ideal world, if we do get a fall catalyst here, there are some inverse head and shoulders on these long-term charts, where this is the neckline 1650, neckline 1633. Can we form a right shoulder for that reversal? And there are some other growth stocks that did put in this type of reversal pattern from the 2022 bottom. I don't have any off the top of my head, but maybe Coin with crypto was one of them. Look at this. So monthly here, same concept. Topped out at 116.30, 114.43. Not much of a right shoulder, but again, same concept. Pretty close as far as what GTBIF is trying to do. Weekly chart, anything under 1430, just a lower high. Daily potential bear flag, use your retracement sizes to gauge things. If bulls are going to get my attention, we need a confirmed daily uptrend as step number 1 for me saying, oh, maybe I want a bull entry again. CURLF, monthly support, 379. Weekly, anything under 601 is a weekly lower high. That's, what is that? That's over 20% away. Daily chart, weak bounce attempt, Use your retracements. Lots of space for the daily lower high. The tier 2 names, AYRWF, these names are testing their longer term weekly supports. Some of them broke with zero follow through at this point. So again, the way I'm viewing this is like this, just tightening up. And so yes, we broke 210, but only by a couple pennies. If these bulls can confirm a daily uptrend from here, that's a big win for saving support. What a bear hopes for is a weak bounce, convincingly break that support. But it's the same for AYRWF, VRNOF. We broke support of 405. Again, currently not much follow through. TSNDF, we're down at the low, 145, trying to hold. It held by a penny this past week. So tier 2s right at a key long-term support, trying to hold. And we'll see over the next 2 weeks if they're successful in doing so or not. On to the higher listed names, CGC. I mean, these names are weekly uptrends still. So it's not game over in that regard. I mean, it's a weekly higher low off EMA 12 continuation. Now we're testing weekly EMA 12 again. Anything above 609 is a weekly higher low. We had the earnings reaction for CGC. Bears jumped all over it. I mean, you shoot up, what were we, up 13% on the morning? Huge 5-minute candle. And again, bears are going to keep jumping on these moves. They had 14% downside in a half an hour. Bears could not ask for anything better than that. We knew anything under 1195 would just be a daily lower high on that bounce. Bears would need to break 820 to keep this daily downtrend going. We're looking for a daily uptrend back to the bulls if a weekly higher low is going to shape up. So battle for EMA 12, and that's the case for ACB. Trying to hold weekly EMA 12. Anything above 544 is a higher low. Daily, still a clear downtrend. Cron, similar. A difference here is HITI. Again, this name does not have anywhere near enough volume for me. We traded about $5 million all of the entirety of the last week. Not even close for me. But as far as price action, you back test and hold weekly EMA 12. You hold it. You back test and hold it again. A higher high. We're in a weekly uptrend on HITI. No name that we've looked at so far can we say that. So key support here is now 225. Anything above that keeps the daily higher lows going. Bulls want to hold this back test. Look at this resistance. So we topped out at 247. Look at it's not a coincidence that the low of Friday is the back test and hold, at least initially, of this very clear previous resistance. Question to start this week, can we keep holding 245 to 247 to turn that resistance into support? But again, the simple statement is, if weekly EMA 12 is support, bulls don't have anything to worry about. And so every name that is holding weekly EMA 12 is looking at HITI and saying, I hope my chart looks like that, because if CGC were going to do that, then we'd be back above $12. So just, normally I'm not going to cover this name, but just because it's so glaringly standing out as a bit different, it just warrants a little bit of a mention. SNDL, same thing. We're looking for a weekly higher low. We're still holding EMA 12. There's a ton of space for it above 175. The big question will be, I do anticipate a weekly higher low compared to 175 is most likely. The question is, do we then confirm a weekly downtrend after the next bounce? But one step at a time, we're looking for a weekly higher low over the next couple of weeks. If IWM breaks bull, like I mentioned, as a possibility, then these names are very likely going to be forming weekly higher lows coinciding with that. GRWG, nice and tight equilibrium, standard, low, high, higher low, lower high, scouting a higher low. Anything above 207 is the most likely scenario, and then we wait sometime in June or July for this tightening range to break. That will have my attention. I haven't traded GRWG in a long time. You give me a longer term, very clear equilibrium. Talked about those long-term equilibriums in my long-term pattern video I put out on YouTube yesterday. But that will have my attention for when that breaks, which could be another month plus. Wrapping it up with psychedelics, CMPS still at the lows, ATAI still at the lows. CYBN volume is just gone. It's tight, but there's no volume. But I'm keeping an eye on MNMD because the monthly consolidation is still healthy. It just started. Tons of space for a monthly higher low. We have not confirmed a monthly uptrend, at least a clear one. So watching for that. And again, look at these rejections from EMA 12 EMA 12, EMA 12, trying to hold it. And what I like is the fact that we confirmed a weekly downtrend straight into a bounce. That's when you start looking for a falling wedge. Oftentimes, a baby falling wedge can form inside a mama falling wedge. What does that mean? Patterns are often fractals. And here you have a baby falling wedge that broke bull. But what do I do from here? I just change this resistance line, and now I'm watching it from this perspective. And so it's possible if we pull back to start this week, keeping an eye out for entries perhaps around the $8 range, and then this has to break bull to be shaping up a monthly higher low. But I like the pattern. This is one of my favorite patterns to trade, and so it's nice and clear, so I'll keep an eye on that. Bears would need to break 871 first thing this week to try and keep tightening this up for an eventual break. But MNMD leaps and bounds ahead of anything else that I'm watching in the sector that has anything even resembling volume. It's easily the lead bull name, not even close. All right. Here's to a good June. Hope you're well. Do good things.